Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Therapeutic Thursday with me, John Quick. As many of you know by now, I'm also an aortic dissection survivor, coming up to 19 years. Out of the blue, I had a type A dissection, which involved emergency open heart surgery and the fitting of a titanium aortic valve. I subsequently had a type B dissection, which has been defensively managed with medication ever since. So that's a little bit about me. I would just like to straight away welcome today's guest, who we'll come to and join in a moment. Welcome to Natalie Andries. Join us. Yes, Natalie?
Yes. Hi.
Yeah, hello. Hello and
Hello.
welcome to the show. So I'll come to you in just a moment, but just to remind people, we'd like you to like and subscribe. My own background was that this was such a life-changing event for me that I'd always been interested in psychology, and I started to make some changes in my life and training in various areas of psychology, and I'm starting to work with people and organizations, and that's kind of what I've sort of branched into. And hopefully the idea of this show is that I can bring on the one hand some therapeutic experience, but also some very kind of direct in the trenches experience as a fellow survivor. So, Natalie, lovely to have you with us. How are you today? You're allowed to be nervous. It's fine.
Yes, I am a little bit nervous, but I'm glad to be here.
It's lovely to have you. So, would you like to begin by telling us a little bit about your experience? I know that this happened in January 2023, didn't it? So you're not long down the road. There've been some issues. So would you like to just begin by telling us a little bit of your story?
Yes. So, yes, it happened in January. It was January 23rd, 2023. So I don't know if there's
Hmm.
something with the 23s, but I was normally chairing a meeting. I was on Zoom. And for sure, the meeting was a little bit hectic. There was some disagreements and there was some tension. And I started to feel a pressure in my chest. And I thought it was because of all these people arguing that it was stressing me. So I started to take some deep breath and try to calm myself down. I practice meditation. I have practiced meditation quite a bit. So I was trying some techniques, but it wasn't going off. So at some point, it was heavy enough that I excused myself from the meeting and I went to the bathroom, tried to calm down, and the only thing I could do was to lie on the floor. And I called my son and my husband. And from there, it was it's blurry in my head because
Mm.
I don't remember a lot of things. I just remember waking up 3 days after. But my husband called the ambulance and they came. They took my blood pressure. I remember the ride in the ambulance. So I was 10 minutes away from the hospital. And that was fortunate, John, because I'm in Quebec now and I'm 10 minutes away from the hospital. But normally I live on Prince Edward Island, like same island as Velda. And
Hmm.
where I live, I'm 45 minutes away or 50 minutes away from the main hospital, which is in Charlottetown. And from there, I guess I would have to be transported to Halifax, which is in Nova
Yeah.
Scotia, which is another province in Canada. So I
Yeah.
don't know if I would be here speaking
It's a
because when
difficult
I
one, isn't it? Just to come in there for geographically for a lot of people, it's like that can be a real issue. There is, that there obviously are the statistics that the closer one can be to a hospital, the better.
yes,
But yeah, so the dice rolled for you at least in that regard, then.
it did because really when I think about it, I really don't know if I would be here because when I reached the hospital that was 10 minutes away from where I am now in Quebec, they just rushed everything, and I remember the surgeon saying surgery right now. And after she told us that it was just a couple of minutes because I ruptured on the table. So I'm really grateful in a way that I was where I was when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I also learned when I woke up, well, I didn't even know what it was. An aorta, I know where it was because I studied the osteopathy, so I know the body, but aortic dissection didn't ring anything to me. And I didn't even know that my grandmother
Just the
died.
same for me. Did she? Yeah.
Yes. So from there, that's all I remember how it happened. It went fast. The meeting, lying on the floor, the bathroom, the ambulance ride, arriving at the hospital, and waking up 3 days after, not even understanding what happened. And I was like, okay, can I go home? What do we do now? Like I'm a really dynamic person, and like, okay, what's next? I didn't realize what really happened. I know I had all these things here and I had all these tubes,
For
but
sure.
I've never been to a hospital other than delivering my two sons. So
Mm.
I really didn't picture what was down the road. So what I'm going through now. So I didn't have a clue. So after that, I
So
had
how long were you in hospital then?
uh,
You-
7 days
Okay.
in total, like a week. Was it a week? No.
Mm.
Oh, maybe 7 or 10 days. I don't remember.
And how did you feel when
And
you came home? Was the shock beginning to kick in of how life-changing this was?
yes, I remember asking a nurse to write aortic dissection on a piece of paper so I can search it when I'll have all my head back. And when I was home, I started searching it, and I kind of panicked when I realized, my God, I nearly died, or I died, and I don't know how to say that, but and how big it was. But since even today, I'm starting to own it. But it was like I
Okay.
was, yes, I was dissociating. I could talk about it, like I can talk about it, but it's like
Mm.
I'm describing it. I'm describing someone else. I know it's me, but it's not me at the same time. And that helps me, I think, cope with it.
I hear you, yes. Yeah, I think that's
So,
perfectly normal. It is definitely a coping mechanism, and I for a long time talked about it as an accident, which is kind of an interesting choice of words. That I hadn't yet got to a place of acceptance that it was a little.
yeah,
It wasn't just an accident; it was a condition and an
yeah.
illness, but yeah, okay. So talk us through a little bit what's inside owning it. Then, what's the difference? Do you think?
Um, One thing I didn't mention is that while I was at the hospital, like a couple of days after the surgery, when I went out of ICU, I had a pericarditis
Mm-hmm.
episode. So they told me that this was a common side effect of an open heart surgery. So I had that, I was treated for that. And since I had 6 pericarditis, so up to
Yeah.
today. So I don't know if I had more than 2 or 3 months without having anything since 2 years and a half, because
Mm.
it's a cycle that comes every time. And when you have a pericarditis it flare up, it's similar to the dissection symptoms. You feel heaviness on your chest, and you cannot lie down because the heaviness increases. You have a dry cough, and you have also pain going to your back. So it's like I'm in a loop,
Yeah.
since that happened. And
So
my last flare-up,
pericarditis is, I understand that an inflammation of the sac, the pericardium, that lines the heart. Is that right?
exactly. Yes,
Yeah.
that's that.
And have you had any guidance as to why it keeps on recurring for you?
They don't really know. At first, they told me because I'm young and my immune system is pretty active and it's fighting the surgery. But now, 2 years and a half later, the last flare up was back in May. So 2 months, that's 1 month, well, nearly 2 months ago.
Mm.
Now they say that any bug that I catch, let's say I have a flu, I have anything, then it goes into the heart and the inflammation kicks back. It's
So
like
it's
that
almost like your
inflammation.
weak spot now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they call it now recurrent pericarditis. It's a
Mm.
condition that is very specific, which means that it's a cycle and it's
So, so apart from the physical symptoms, tell us about how that affects your whole life. Because it's not easy, is it, to be, first of all, you have the dissection, and then each time you sort of maybe might think you're starting to get better, in comes another pericarditis. That must be very challenging.
it is, John. It is for someone that was really active, and I'm physically and in my mind as well. Like it's always turning. Like, what do we do? And creating things. I'm a very creative person. So when I have a flare up of the pericarditis, then you can't move, you can't walk, you can't do any exercise. You have
Yes.
to lie down until it resolves. You cannot put any stress on your heart. So it has been hard because every time
Mm.
I thought that, okay, this is like now I'm in that phase where, okay, I no longer have pericarditis. I feel energy coming back. And now I want to do a bunch of things. I want to go out and then it's summer. I want to walk. I want to golf. I want to do a lot of stuff, but I have to be careful because if I get into that type of active mode too fast, then I can have another flare up. So it's been hard because I'm 53
Yeah.
and I feel like I'm 35. So, but, but
So, as what I'm getting there is one of the issues for you is actually kind of acceptance and coming to terms with the fact that you've been very, very active, and then this pericarditis slows you down, and you have to kind of maybe modulate your activities. So now you're feeling a bit better, and that energy's coming back, and the risk is that you overdo it again, isn't it? You're sort of there. If you were in a loop, you're sort of doing this, aren't you? Get
yes,
better, and then maybe overdo it, and then whoosh. So
yeah,
tell us about that's not easy. I mean, I think that's a kind of magnification to an extent of what we all face is that there are huge life adjustment issues, aren't there, around um, energy, around just kind of picking up the pieces of what's happened to me. Will I get back to what I was? Right across the board.
it does. I still don't know, John. I still don't know. And because at the beginning, everybody was telling me, dial down, Natalie. You were too much. Dial down. Okay, that's fine. I'm dialing down. But what does it really mean? For me, I was really cutting 60% of what I was doing. And for me, it was cutting a lot, but still, it was too much. So it's it's I don't know how to say it. It's hard not to know
Mm.
because I do want to cut back. I know it's impacting my life. I know I have to be careful because recurrent pericarditis, you don't die from that, but it uses your heart. Like it leaves some traces every time you have a flare up. So at some point, but I just don't know what to do, and
So this
scared.
hangs over you like a kind of a shadow, doesn't it, really? That it's kind of this stop-start to your recovery, and I have the feeling that you're sort of like really struggling with that emotionally. You know, who am I now?
Yes, I don't really know where I'm gonna end up, but I hold on a lot to meditation, the mindfulness course that Aortic Hope offers. I follow that with Tom, and I really like that. That was something I used to practice a lot before.
Hmm.
And I'm getting back into it because since the surgery, I couldn't sit down and meditate. I had lost that ability to
Yeah,
meditate like I used to before, but now I'm getting into that. And that gives me hope. It gives me some sort of peace. It helps me accept.
yes,
That's where I found the most comfort because everything else I feel like I have to reinvent it, but I don't know how, or I'm kind of losing, not really losing, I need to transform it, but I can't do this, I can't do that, you can't move there,
mm,
you can't. It's all about can't. I'm like, okay, stop it. What can I do now?
yes.
So it's good to be aware, but the answers are not easy to find. I haven't
And
found them yet.
what's the immediate medical support like for that where you are?
Um, at the hospital, they're good to manage the crisis. When I have a flare up and all that, this is really good. I have, I, I see a psychologist at the
Hmm.
center, so I started that. It took a while that I can see someone. So, but now this is helping somehow, but sometimes not always easy because she doesn't really understand the extent of what I'm going through. But
Mm.
it helps. And she recommended lately, I say she, that's the psychologist, to go and see a occupational therapist.
Okay.
And that's a curious thing, John, because on the support calls of Aortic Hope, I heard that word, occupational therapist, but English is not my first language, so I didn't really know what it was. So when she told me the name in French, I need to see that person. She will help me manage my energy and gradually, get back being active. When I searched it online, it was occupational therapist.
Yeah.
So there was a language glitch for me there because had I known, so many times I've heard that on support groups,
Yes.
maybe I would have asked at least the question,
Ah, I
but I thought it
see.
was
Yeah.
like go
Anyway,
back to
better late than never. But yeah, it's a kind of rather unspecific term anyway. I think people get a bit thrown by occupational, but really it's kind of like all aspects of one's life, isn't it? Of like life
yes,
coping and
yes,
very much caught up with rehabilitation and so on. Yeah, I can
yes.
see the merit of going in that direction. And what about the impact in your wider life? You not managed to go back to work. Am I correct in thinking that?
No, I don't. I didn't work since the dissection, so 2 years and a half.
Mm,
I used to um, when the dissection happened. I was trained as an engineer. I also practiced osteopathy in
hmm.
on Prince Edward Island. But we moved temporarily. We came to Quebec because my son was going to school to try a new school in baseball. He's a big fan of baseball in Quebec. So we were there for a year, and but 3 months after I got the aortic dissection. So
Mm,
we've been there since, and the plan was for me to find a job in Quebec at least for the year and see how things will go. But the dissection happened. So it's kind of hard for me to plan to go back to work like every
Yes, well, and especially if you've
month.
got the recurrent issue with the pericarditis. Yeah.
Exactly. So on
So
that,
that's another thing that you have to kind of deal with, isn't it? Is the actual as so often in this condition, it's the tsunami afterwards of the condition and the way it flows into every area of our lives.
yes. So for work, that's how it goes. For implication in the family, so my husband and my son, they help a lot. But when I have flare-ups of pericarditis, I can't drive. That has been really nagging me. It's like cutting my wings. You know, when you drive, you just want to do something, you jump in the car and then whoop, up you go. But
Independence, yeah.
I know, and now everything I need, I had to ask. First, I'm not too good at asking. I'm just like, I want to do something, I do it. And now here I am, everything I need. Oh, I need this. Can you go and buy it for me? Oh, that's really hard. That's still hard.
So did you feel like you're a bit of a burden on people in this situation now?
Little bit. We try to make it fun. Like sometimes my husband go for the groceries and we're doing groceries together on Messenger. He's showing me all the the things and what to buy, what not to buy and everything. We try to make it fun, but it's not that fun in the end, you know. It's not.
Mm,
But
sure. And how have the rest of the family dealt with this? It's going to have changed. This is another thing, isn't it? It's going to have changed their lives. They see mum struggling, your sons. They, everybody has it affects relationships, marriages, whatever people's status are is.
I think it's more for my husband is obviously they're both really impacted. They have PTSD and whenever they call, I don't answer. They panic. If they come home and I'm lying, they're like, okay, what's going on? Are you okay? And then they kind of they don't
Mm,
exaggerate. I think they are worried because they've seen me in a bad condition and they're concerned. But it's my son, you know, he's 16 and he always saw me like a go-getter and like I'm a mama bear, right? So when I go up
yeah.
there, I know what's happening. And when he plays baseball, I'm there, I'm checking. If someone's like yelling at my kid, I'm like, hey, oh, that's my kid, you know? So, and that role has changed
Good for you.
for me,
Yeah,
but for
and
him,
of course that's an adjustment for him, isn't it?
exactly. Now he sees me.
At a tender age, he's suddenly got to adjust to his mum not being quite so able to be mama bear.
Yes. So he's seeing me more vulnerable with limitations, which is human, part of, we all
Yep.
have that, but it took another dimension for him. And I think also I'm less present in everything he does. Like last year, I couldn't go to one baseball match, like one baseball game. I couldn't go. Like since he was 6, I would go not to every game,
Mm,
but I would
mm,
be there. And he's also an umpire, so he's a referee. So I go there too sometimes. So last year I couldn't make any games, so that was tough. I think for me, but for him too. I felt like
yeah.
I was supporting him like I wanted to. So it has affected some dynamics in the house as well. You know, when you're used to be running things, and
Mm,
my husband, he does a lot of stuff, but cooking is in his stuff. Like he and the kitchen, they're not friends, but he does a lot of things. So
yeah.
that has impacted us a lot. So he had to learn, and which is a good thing. He had to
Yeah,
learn.
absolutely for boys. Yeah. But
Yeah,
what you're telling me is families have to adjust to this condition, don't they?
exactly.
And I think it's very important in those situations that there's good communication and there's transparency, and the risk is, I think, and I've probably done this too much myself, is that we kind of, we're protecting everybody by not saying too much or not really necessarily telling how we're feeling, but I'm not sure there's a great long-term gain in that,
You're
because
right.
people do need to step into new roles.
You're right. And I do that a lot too, because I feel that they've been through so much, and they've been aware when I was in the hospital where I wasn't aware of many things. I just woke up and, okay, what do we do? But they were
Mm,
like, ooh, traumatized. So I try to spare them by maybe sometimes not telling everything and just doing it anyway, even if I know that, that's over my limit, which is not a good thing. I know it's, but hey, I've done it. So trying to be more aware and trying not to go there. I don't know what hits more, if it's the dissection or the pericarditis or the mix of both, but it's just feels a lot to carry, but I don't know which one is which now. Is
mm.
it from the dissection or from the pericarditis?
But you haven't told me anything, and when we talked before, that there have been any specific issues with the dissection itself. That sounds like it's stable and you're doing okay. It's just this side issue which keeps, walking on stage, isn't it? Would that be right, that the dissection is behaving itself?
You're right. From the follow-ups that I had, well, follow-up that I had one. They said my aorta is all healed, and they don't see anything specific. And they even want to monitor me every 2 years, they said.
Oh, that is a good sign. Mm,
So I assume from this that the aorta is good. I've done the
yeah.
genetic thing. They didn't find anything, but they said I have a variant, unknown variant, that they don't
Hmm.
know yet. So I think it's okay. I want to believe it's okay. So
Mm. It also sounds to me like the pericarditis has kind of nagged away and chewed at your sense of confidence and self-esteem, because like you're never quite sure, I imagine, is it gonna, you're feeling a bit better at the moment, you go golfing or something, like, is it gonna come back?
it's true. It has given me a good kick in the butt for with my self-esteem, I have to say.
Mm,
And it 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 keeps me in a little fear mode.
yeah.
I know that I'm trying all type of things not to be in fear mode, but it doesn't work. It's just there.
Mm,
I haven't found the magic recipe, so I'm not fearful of a new flare up. So
yes. So we're not doing, as I've made clear to people before, we don't not doing specific therapy in these sessions, but in a one-to-one therapeutic session, that's what I would be really honing in on, is kind of that fear and how to manage that fear, how to kind of try to massage it out of the way, how to help you kind of move forward. Because of itself, fear isn't a great gateway to overall physical, fear can tire us out. Fear can create anxiety, fear can push up blood pressure. So it kind of, and that's so difficult, I think, with isn't that people are living with this kind of looking over the shoulder is on, what's going to happen and how to move forward positively with their lives. And that's again back to that cliche of like in the moment, in the day, in the now, not trying to not go to that anticipatory anxiety, because as I've said before, nearly all anxiety is anticipatory. It hasn't happened yet. Yes. And I think in your case, you're okay at the moment. You've really got to sort of try and build on that.
Yeah,
sees
it's
every good moment.
I do. I hold on to every good moment and every good day that I have good energy. It's like a win for me because I had some
Yeah,
horrible days where I could only stay in bed or on the couch. And for me, just to see myself doing that, that's brutal. That's not me. That's not Natalie. That's not who I want to be as well. Most importantly, I want to have some energy, some vitality. That's what life is about for me. So at the beginning, when I was really depressed, I would say, whoa, what's the point of surviving? If I need to stay on the couch or lie down, that's not definition of life for me. So I try to every day I have a little bit of energy. I pump up myself and I'm happy to see flowers. I'm happy the breeze is on my face. I I'm I try to really like amplify the good things.
yeah,
Because if I dwell on the bad things, it's a spiral and I know I'm gonna go down. So I
yeah,
don't let myself go there.
yeah, and that's a miserable feeling, isn't it?
It
Like I
is.
say, and that's not going to help physical health either. But it may be also true, and you kind of hint at it, that maybe you had a habit, maybe your lifestyle was that you tended to go too fast in the past, that you went for everything and did everything. And as I caution people generally, and whatever whatever people present with me, sometimes we have to be careful that we don't check in with, or that we do check in with that old self and go, how authentic was that? Was that really serving me well, or was that just a habit which I felt worthy and I felt like I justified my presence and I had to do this to please everyone? And maybe that was I was worshipping worshipping a false god there.
You're absolutely right, John.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I have those thoughts, I say it's a gift in itself. Okay, didn't have to come with the aortic dissection. Maybe I could have learned that, in another way. But that's the gift in all this thing that maybe stink at some point. But there's a gift, like the lotus in that swamp, would be that little that that way of approaching life that has to change. Where now I'm happy to have time to sit down. I don't have
Yeah.
many obligations. I can appreciate things that I didn't see before because I was going too fast maybe, or I was too busy. So
Mm.
I try to focus on that because even though you have to slow down, you have to cut back on everything, but this little perspective of saying, hey, now I'm just sipping my tea outside and I'm listening to the birds. Oh my God, this feels good. Just to have that moment. So that those are the moments that I do say, wow, okay, there are some blessings still.
Mm.
No.
And this isn't an uncommon problem. One can construct a very strong argument that our society is negatively built to make us all go faster and faster, and that we're valued for that. But it's an inevitable fact of life as we get older that, first of all, we do have to face, less energy, but also through many, many illnesses, whether it be cancer or if people have had a car crash, having to kind of adjust to a new life is a very common issue. And to let go of the old, but also maybe question the old. And it sounds like there's something really to build on there for you, that you are doing that, and that you
Yes.
can recognize, actually, maybe I was racing along before,
Yes.
and it
And
wasn't of itself, it wasn't healthy. Mm.
oh, it wasn't. I don't think maybe I would have hit a wall. I don't know. Who knows? But what I find that is easier is to remove myself from the pace outside. Whenever I go into social events or I participate in life, things are too fast for me now.
Mm-hmm.
I can't keep up. But when I'm in my house with my own tempo, with my family, they know how I am. They're not, they're all very calm. It's easier for me. So I tend to isolate myself a little bit more, I have to say, to be able
Mm-hmm.
to cultivate that state where I feel comfortable and okay in it. But I know at the same time it's not good. I have to keep a social
Yeah.
life, but
So
that's where
before, in those situations, how would you have behaved? You would have been round greeting everybody, being very the life and soul of the party, charming, would you?
I would. I would. I don't know if I would be charming, but I would be excited. I love. I love being with people and having fun and creating things. I just love that. That's me. But
Mm.
I cannot do that. What
Well,
all that to that extent.
tell us specifically what happens. Why can't you do that? What happens to you?
I get tired very quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and blood pressure rises. I get dizzy,
Yeah.
and I feel like it's an oppression. Is that a word in English?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, oppression. So I feel, and I feel like running away when. So I need that calm space now. I need that more pace, tempo. I can't
Yeah.
keep people yapping and excitement anymore. I can't. So
So that could be seen very much as a PTSD symptom, or as as the word used to be for PT, shell shock. And it's like you've gone, "Whoa," and maybe we lose some resistance, especially in the early years of recovery. Our resistance to social pressures, and we're more fragile, I think.
yes,
I completely hear you with that kind of thing, and it's that's been a long path for me to rebuild some of that for myself. And again, though, we have to watch. I completely get you with the temple, your home, and we feel safe, but we also have to be careful that we don't over retreat, that we
true.
shrink into small comfort zones. We need to challenge ourselves.
Yes. For now, I tend to choose. Now it's the summer, so it's easier. We outdoor. So maybe I forgot to mention I'm in Canada. So during the winter, it's a no-brainer. You're inside. I don't go outside, but now it's summer. Everyone's excited. You want to be outside. So I
Mm,
have to choose where I go. So I love tea. So I go for tea time near a river. I go for classical music concert, in the mountain where everyone, first of all, I'm immunosuppressed, so I have to be careful. I can't be in
mhm.
close space with a lot of people. So I choose to be outside in activities where there are little groups.
Yeah.
So I have to be careful where I go so I don't
Mhm.
catch anything, which is a good thing. Then there's not a lot of people, so it's more quiet. So it's just different. Different. Have to learn to choose
Yeah.
differently.
Mm. So let's just pause there and say hi to Joshua and hi to everybody out there who may be listening. Do we have any comments, Joshua?
We've got some things here.
Okay.
Let's start off by saying hi to Velda and Molly and Bruce and Tom.
Hi, everybody.
They're all saying good job. Molly wanted to point out that there are so many fortunate ironies surrounding many of our stories, especially like how close you are to the hospital in Quebec.
Yeah.
True.
Molly's asking if your boys have been tested for anything.
Not yet. They're on the list, but things are so slow here that I don't know. Hopefully, they'll be tested within a year or two. But yes, they're on the radar. They're on the list now.
Right on. Tom is talking about his children and grandchildren have been tested, and you know, when it comes to aortic disease in old age, it's important to understand how they interact and how you have to overcome so many of these different systems. And back to you.
Okay, thank you. So we've covered quite a lot of ground today, and I think what we see is in many ways such a you're obviously your everybody's story is individual, but I think we can all take so many what's the word, so much of it resonates for so many people, the way we have to kind of adjust to life afterwards, the way we can find our energy effect, the way just simply how we interact with the world can just feel very, very different, because I think the experience is just so shocking, so sudden, so immediate that we're in a slightly different universe. Maybe it takes a long time to sort of come back down to earth. Maybe it is just some kind of major disassociation process, which is like, and that to an extent that can be the brain protecting itself. But here you are. You're a warrior, aren't you?
I don't know if I'm a warrior, or I'm desperate. I don't know, but I'm hanging on there, and I think there is somewhere a way to do things that I haven't discovered yet. I need to learn, and I need to be patient, which is not my big forte. But I need to be patient. Like you were saying, Ami, I'm early in the recovery process.
Yes.
So there are little things like this that people say that for me, I don't understand. Like, what does it mean, like early? How long does it take? When will I be considered like a seasoned, warrior
Yes.
or survivor?
Yeah.
Like for me,
When won't you be early? Yes.
yeah. So 2 years and a half has been long for me. So how come I'm not, done with the recovery? So it's all these notions that you come into this situation and you have your points of reference. Like for me, I've been there 2 years and a half. I'm still struggling. Like I feel like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm doomed. I'm never gonna get out of there. But then for someone like you, maybe I'm early in the process. So those are the things that,
It's a good point. I mean, these time definitions, and I think as a lot of us are sort of learning, we're the sort of first generation of survivors who maybe are making it through over longer periods of time, because beforehand in previous generations people just wouldn't have survived. So it's a kind of new frontier. And what strikes me as interesting as well is you say I'm 2.5 years, and of course I pick up some impatience there generally with you, but the fact that the doctors are now saying, well, we don't need to test you for another 2 years.
yeah,
So that's kind of, those two numbers are quite interesting alongside each other, because I for example, to begin with, was tested every 6 months and then a year. I think that's, as I said, that's a very good sign. I think just the major issue is finding a way to tackle this pericarditis and trying not to make it recurrent, isn't it?
yes. And there is one thing that we don't hear a lot is that when you're a woman and you're in the 50s, you also have other things that normally occur, like menopause and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
hormonal changes that do affect like cardiovascular health and do affect other
Absolutely.
things. But there's nowhere I've heard about that. And many women are struggling with that because it does impact the recovery. And in the hospital, they don't talk about that. They don't consider that. Well, here at least, they don't consider that. I've asked questions, but there's a lot of struggles around even that on top of what we're going through. So we have a group in Aortic Hope that is run by Diane Bishop, which is
Hmm.
women. So we talk a lot about how hormonal fluctuation really impacts the recovery as well. So that's
Yeah.
another ball to juggle with,
Yeah,
with the rest.
and very under researched, as so many women's issues are. As if menopause wasn't difficult enough on its own, to have this condition on top of it, and vice versa, it's difficult, isn't it? And of course, hormonal changes are very difficult to kind of evaluate and track because, again, they're so different for many, many people, aren't they?
Yes,
Um,
but here you have the aortic dissection impacts. Now I have to deal with the pericarditis, and I'm taking meds that
mm,
impact as well hormones. And I'm going through that phase of life as well. So some days I'm like, okay, the balls are gonna fall on my head because I don't know how to
mm,
juggle with all this and keep an even flow with all that. So it's another piece that I feel that we don't hear much about, but it
mm.
is considerable. It has a considerable impact in the recovery.
I think you
So
make a really interesting point there. And maybe as you get stronger, you can you can be an activist in that area, and we help the push into that.
uh, who knows, maybe.
So, any more comments before we move to a close, Joshua?
No, sir.
Okay. Um, Natalie, it's been a pleasure having you on board today. Um, I bet you're not nervous anymore, are you?
No, I'm not. I'm looking at you specifically, so I tend to forget that
Okay.
there may be other people.
Yeah, we get used to it, don't we?
Yeah.
um, and so, how are you going to spend the rest of your day?
I think I'm gonna go for a nap.
Okay. Yeah.
Normally I do, but now I really need it.
Do you
I
find this
want to.
quite tiring?
It is. It is. It
I
took a lot of
understand.
energy, but I want
Yeah.
to thank you so much for making me at ease because I don't talk about how I feel, what I'm going through. I talk about that in therapy with my psychologist and a little bit in the support group,
Mm,
the Canadian one, but I rarely open myself to talk about it. I guess it's part of my dissociation thing, or I feel like I want to focus on the good. But thank you for making me at ease and giving me the courage to speak up in English because that's not my first
yes.
language.
Well, hats off to you. You're not speaking in your mother tongue. So I could just about maybe have done this in French, but it wouldn't have made for good listening, I'm sure, for people.
Yes, thank you.
There would have been many stumbles, and I'm sure everybody's with me on this. So brave of you to come today and talk about it, and that in itself is a healing process, because there can be a little bit with this condition, or more than a little bit. It's like, something, and we all need to, I think, crash through that barrier a little bit more. It is part of being human and part of life.
Yes,
So thank you, Natalie. You go and
thank
enjoy your nap,
thank you, John.
and hopefully soon some more golf. Yeah,
Yes, I hope so.
just don't
Thank
hit those balls too hard.
you.
So Joshua will close there.
Sounds good to me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank
Oh
you
yes,
both for a very good conversation. Natalie, you did wonderfully.
Thank you, Josh.